who felt a different state of consciousness when they let their breathing really slow down? Put your hand up if you felt kind of, okay, now we're talking. Now we're talking. If you can embody that state of consciousness, then you can do this movement of the spine, because this movement of the spine is what lives in that state of consciousness. And if you can breathe with the spine consciously in that way, think what that does for your health, longevity, and transcendental states. Because continually the vertebrae are moving, continually the discs between the vertebrae are being exercised, continually the nerves coming out of the central nervous system are being released. It is the center of your body and being, and the spine houses the bardo, what we go through after we die, and the transcendental clearing of holographic breathing as we systematically clear the energies of the spine and the organs. What has come up to be taught as well today, which has always proved very difficult, and people find it not easy, but you know, I get information on the day, you know, kind of do this, so we're going to kind of do that. And what that is to do with is the breathing motion of the spine. And people find that difficult because it is counterintuitive to how people generally experience it with their normal breath, and also how it's taught in many spheres, if that's the right word. Whereas on the in-breath, in holographic breathing, and also I think in cranial osteopathy and cranial sacral therapy, the spine shortens on the in-breath and the spine lengthens on the out-breath, which is, most people think of everything expanding on the in-breath and also lengthening, but the lungs can do that. They can expand to the sides, and the diaphragm can drop down because they've got an air supply coming in, so the lungs can expand in all directions. But everything else, for something to expand sideways, has to contract top to bottom. There's something to narrow sideways, it has to lengthen top to bottom. So there's this experience, the body is expanding, the spine contracts. The body is contracting on the out-breath, the spine lengthens. And I'm going to show how that works with the muscles, because we're going to work with the muscles of the neck, and it's a bit easier to feel this with the neck, because the other thing that isn't experienced very profoundly when we're normally breathing is that on the in-breath, all of the muscles to do with the breath are tightening, they're contracting, and all of the muscles on the out-breath to do with the breath relaxing, they're lengthening. And the same happens in the neck and the muscles of the neck. And the muscles between the ribs, the intercostal muscles, they shorten on the in-breath. And this pulls the ribs up, and then that creates more space inside. But the ribs wouldn't actually pull up if it wasn't for the muscles of the neck. If there were no muscles here, it was just, I don't know, just nothing there, just the whatever, you know, but no muscles, or these muscles just stayed relaxed, the intercostal muscles would just pull the ribs together. They wouldn't rise, they wouldn't fall, they would just stay where they were, and they would just concertina. So the bottom ones would come up, the top ones would shorten, would come down. So it just go like that on the in-breath, like that on the out-breath. But what happens is, from the collarbone across here, you've got muscles connecting to the mastoid process here from the sternum, and all around the collarbones here, that comes around the outside and up to the mastoid process and different places in the cranium. So that is kind of shortening to bring the ribs up on the in-breath. And behind that, underneath that, you've got the scalene muscles where they drop below the collarbones and connect to the top two ribs. And the scalene muscles connect to all of the vertebrae in the neck. And they shorten on the in-breath to bring the ribs up, and they relax on the out-breath to allow the ribs to drop. And the same happens with the muscles at the back of the neck. You've got muscles from the shoulder blades, top of the shoulder blades coming up to the upper vertebrae, the back of the upper vertebrae, and from the lower shoulder blades coming a bit lower into the lower vertebrae, and then the trapezius muscles below that. These all integrate, these muscles to one extent or another shorten to allow the ribs, or to, not to allow, but to pull the ribs up. These are like little cranes lifting the ribs on the in-breath, and then the crane letting the ribs drop down on the out-breath. We have this perception that these muscles are lifting the in-breath, lifting the chest or the ribs on the in-breath, and then these muscles allowing the chest to drop down on the out-breath. But also, and what we're going to be working with today, this is important, this is the crux of what we're going to be working with today. There's a change of perception that those muscles are connecting to the cranium, they're connecting to the face, they're connecting to the cervical vertebrae, and they're shortening to lift the ribs up. But conversely, as they pull the ribs up, they're pulling the spine down. To a certain extent, as the muscles pull on the different vertebrae, pull on the cranium, they're contracting the vertebrae in the neck, and the same through the whole spine. I taught that in the lumbar spine last week, in the last one of these, but it's also in the neck. It's also between the ribs, from the back of every rib. You've got the intercostal muscles pulling together and connecting to the vertebrae. So at the back, right next to, at the end of the ribs there, they've all got muscles coming up, connecting to the vertebrae, and these muscles shorten to lift the ribs up, relax to let the ribs close. So each time they're shortening, they're compressing the vertebrae. So you get this shortening motion. Now, it won't shorten a long way, but there's a feeling of it shortening and then lengthening on the out-breath. So there is, I'm sorry, I'm just going to talk. This may seem complicated. This may seem hard to do, but there will be a guided meditation where you will get an experience of that. And if my words seem to be knocking you out, let them knock you out. You don't have to stay awake. You can pass in and out of consciousness, as I do while I'm trying to edit it and I'm listening to myself. I forgot what I was going to say. I don't have anything to demonstrate it with, but I've got a wire. Hang on, here we go. Here's a wire. I'm not sure if you can see it. Can you see that wire? Is it too thin? Okay, you can see that wire just about now. Say that wire is bent there, like the spine is bent. It does this S shape. The spine does this S shape. And on the in-breath, as all of these muscles tighten, the spine will straighten. So in effect, you get a little bit taller on the in-breath. Then on the out-breath, that S accentuates itself, so you get a little bit shorter on the out-breath, which is the other way around. I'm saying the spine is shortening on the in-breath, lengthening on the out-breath. But on this effect, you see I've got my fingers holding the wire here. I'll hold it a bit lower, my fingers holding the wire here, and I'll bend it a bit. So the fingers are closer together. Now on the in-breath, it does that. So you get a little bit taller. But is that cord any longer? Put your hand up if you think that cord is any longer. And then as the spine collapses, is that cord any shorter? And for me, the answer is no. The cord is staying the same length. So breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. So in one way you'll get longer and shorter with the breath. So you're getting longer on the in-breath and then you're getting shorter on the out-breath. Minusculely, not a long way. But then opposing that, all of the muscles that are pulling you straight on the in-breath, they are constricting between the vertebrae, and the actual length of the spine will get shorter as they do that. And the actual length of the spine will get longer as you breathe out. So I'm sorry to give you conflicting ways of looking at that. And not only do I knock people out by speaking, but now I've given you brain ache as well by telling you the spine does two completely different things. But on the in-breath it straightens but compacts. On the out-breath the spine bows, so it contracts, but the spaces between the vertebrae lengthen, so it gets longer. And we are going to focus, we are going to bring the awareness to the shortening on the in-breath and the lengthening on the out-breath. So that whole explanation, that's there for therapists who work with the spine so they can understand what I'm talking about. All the people have been taught the spine gets longer, so he's talking rubbish. I've just explained why I'm not per se talking rubbish. I might be actually, it's just how I see it, but it's also how they see it in cranial sacral therapy. But to experience this, breathing in, shortening, breathing out, lengthening, you have to go into an alternate space, a different consciousness, to properly, once you start feeling it, you go into a bit of a different reality. It feels completely different. Your breath will slow down massively. But to experience it properly, you actually have to slow the breath down even further, and there's this fear of death. I'm not going to get enough oxygen to stay alive, because you're breathing so slowly. So there's this point where you think, I'm going to die. Just allow yourself to die, it's all right. Doesn't matter. You know, there's lots of other lives you can go to, not just this one. But there's this experience, it starts off with, I can't get enough oxygen, but you go through that and there's this different experience that dawns on you. That it's like you go through this veil and all of a sudden it's as if you don't need to breathe anymore, that you are being resourced. You do actually have to breathe or you'll die, but the feeling is that you definitely don't need to breathe so much, but there's this kind of reality there that you don't need to physically breathe with your lungs to get the nourishment. Now, this may be a memory of when we were in the womb and we didn't need to breathe with the lungs to get oxygen because it was coming in via the navel. And there's this same experience that you don't need to breathe and you can really slow the breath down. And there's this alternative reality. You become change from oxygen-based reality, which feels very human, to a carbon dioxide-based reality, because the carbon dioxide builds up in the body, in the brain, in the blood. The level of carbon dioxide builds up. This has an incredibly calming effect. It also clears inflammation. Carbon dioxide will clear inflammation. It improves the oxygen assimilation through the body. So as you move into this carbon dioxide-based reality, the actual effect of your oxygen conversion goes up many-fold, that you assimilate the oxygen much better, so you don't actually need so much. There's, you know, like I'm going on a dry fast at the minute, abstinence from water, abstinence from food. You go on an abstinence or partial abstinence from the breath, and the body kicks into this very healing mode. And what it feels like, one, the assimilation of oxygen becomes many-fold better. The cells open up to the oxygen, the capillaries dilate. But also what it feels like to me is the foreigners to the body. This is what it feels like. It may not be true, but this is what it feels like. The foreigners, like the parasites, the bacteria, the viruses, they like this oxygen-rich environment. They thrive in that environment. But once we move into this alternative reality and start breathing in a carbon dioxide-rich environment, my feeling is that slowly it starts killing all of those foreign invaders. And this type of breathing is what we move into in a certain extent with the hands and feet, when we're working with the hands and feet. But then when we move into this movement of the spine, then that makes it much stronger. And that is to do the movement of the spine, the bones, the experience of the bones, and the movement of the bones is to do with the deep earth energies. So it's very much to do with the back of the body and the spine. It's very different at the front of the body. It isn't doing that at the front of the body. It is opening in different directions at the front of the body, but at the back of the body, breathing in, breathing out. So it's through the bone structure, and that will connect people to this magnetism, to this earth, to this kind of alternative reality. So we will be working with that. I may not work because I haven't taught it in this way before, or not quite. I've tried to teach it and everybody tells me I'm doing it wrong, so I kind of give up. And then there's the few that say, yeah, that was great, Martin, but also I tend to lose a lot of students trying to teach this one. So if you don't experience it, that's fine. Do it however you're doing it. If you do experience it and you find it useful, then there you go. You've got another arrow to your bow that you can play with. Right. So we're primarily working with the neck, and the neck is, as a whole thing, kind of to do with the ground and the deep earth energies. The face is more, from this part up here, it connects together in a matrix or holographic or fractal matrix, and the whole neck is like the earth for it. The face, very heart orientated, so it's the emotions. The brain is the intellect and mind. So you've got hara, heart, intellect, they all come together, and that opens the crown chakra, and you get the connection to the divine. But this works as a strong ground. So in a way, the whole neck in general does have a lot to do with the deep earth energies, but the back of the neck is where they reside most strongly. And what you can do is, if you just get your hand like that and you put it over your neck, so your thumb is one side, your first finger is the other side, and if you can go back far enough and you're low enough down, you'll feel the scalene muscles. Breathing in, you'll feel these muscles tightening and widening as you breathe in, and then relaxing to and lengthening to a certain extent on the out breath. So I'm not sure if people can feel that. You really have to get this bit right into the neck to get the finger and thumb back far enough to feel that. You can feel these muscles, they feel like they're getting wider on the in-breath and then narrower on the out-breath. That's the scalene muscles tightening and lifting the ribs on the in-breath. And then that's the scalene muscles relaxing on the out-breath or dropping. Now, they will stay tight to a certain extent all of the time because they are connecting the ribs to the neck, and if they disappeared, the ribs would just drop. So they are holding the weight of the ribs, but on the in-breath, they're lifting the whole rib cage. Then on the out-breath, they're relaxing. Put your hand up if you can feel that. Anyone. One person twice, two people. One person 3 times. I feel like an auctioneer. Thumbs up. Here we go. Quite a few more people. Okay. So anyway, it's really handy if you can feel that, because that's what we're going to be working with. Because for those muscles to tighten, to pull up the ribs, they connect through all of the vertebrae, right up through all of the vertebrae of the cervical vertebrae. So as they're pulling the ribs up, they're pulling the vertebrae down. So you get the experience, one, that the muscles are tightening. When you put your hand there, you can feel it. By putting your hand there, you can also feel the tension that is putting into the spine to lift the ribs. So you get an experiential feedback of those muscles pulling the vertebrae down to lift the ribs up. Now the ribs are loose, so they will lift further, but to a certain extent the discs below between the vertebrae will squish a bit on the in-breath and relax a bit on the out-breath. So here you have the top two ribs. They will go round in a circle. So you've got muscles coming from these, going up to all of these muscles here, and they go round to the ribs because these go round in a circle. I couldn't find any round bits of Dowling to make the ribs go round, but they do. So they're connecting to every rib, and every vertebrae in the top two ribs, and as these muscles pull up the ribs, what happens is, breathing in, it pulls the ribs up, it contracts the vertebrae together. Breathing out, the ribs drop down, the vertebrae rise. So breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Now, the other thing that will happen is, for people who didn't do the psoas muscle webinar, it's well worth doing it, because the anterior scalene muscles basically very similar to the psoas. What the psoas is to the lower back, the anterior scalene muscles are to the neck, and they have this fiery red energy. So the scalene muscles a bit further forwards from these two ribs, they're connecting. Let's put the head on. Oh! I thought I was going to get away with the face staying on. Little did I know it just wasn't going to happen. Okay. There we go. I'm going to have to get a new skull that stays together. Go on, stay in. I don't know if this is going to stay on, and I don't think I can hold it. Well, maybe I can, because that's on my knee now. No, I can't. Okay, I'm going to take the face off. You'll have to have the face taken off. So, you've got the top ribs here. And so the scalene muscles further forwards, they come in, connecting to all of these vertebrae, and they all vector into muscles, different muscles going up the inner face. So this is the back, and this is the back here, and then this is the sides, and then this is where the throat is coming down at the front, and these muscles vector in to the muscles all along here, and they also vector straight up to the base of the sphenoid here, of the fire sphenix, and they pull the ribs up, connecting to the whole front of the spine, and they connect to the underside of the cranium, and that pulls the ribs up, also pulls the fire sphenix down. So lifting the ribs up has the counter effect of condensing the ribs and rolling the fire sphenix down. So breathing in, it shortens, and the fire sphenix rolls down. And this is the fire circuit here, the fire sphenix. You can see it's red. It's the fire circuit. The front of these vertebrae here is the same as the psoas muscle. It's the fire circuit at the front. So it activates this central column of energy through the body, down through the heart, activates the heart, activates the small intestines, activates the hara, activates the ovaries, testes, uterus and prostate, and it's in kind of down through the middle of the body, and that relates to this whole area here and up into the base of the sphinx. The scalene muscles relating to the sides of the vertebrae here and up to the mastoid process and the what's it called? I can never remember names. Temporal bones. This relates to the lung circuit. It's a different energy. And then the posterior scalene muscles, which are more coming up the back here, these relate to the deep earth energies. So as these are tightening and shortening the spine at the back, that's activating the deep earth energy. So if you have your awareness here at the back, it will open the deep earth circuit. If you have your awareness at the sides and the scalene muscles at the sides, it will open the lung circuit. If you have the awareness at the front, it will open the fire circuit. I'm going to take this apart. So even though this is a free webinar, it's in depth. I haven't taught this to the advanced people. The advanced people are here. They're learning new points. I just teach what is there to be taught, and it's potent whatever. So these aren't throwaway, free, we're doing nothing webinars. These are powerful, potent webinars. And if you've got the wherewithal to maybe to listen to it a few times, come to an understanding of it, repeat the meditation so you can feel these different energies, will profoundly change your life. Holographic breathing is like no other breathwork system that I know about. There may be ones that I don't know about, but it stands apart. It doesn't do the same things as other breathwork. It doesn't mean it's better, it just means it's different. That these energies don't open like this with other breathwork. Other things happen in other breathworks, but something very particular goes on in holographic breathing, and you can learn a whole internal form of healing that you can use on yourself. But it takes, it's not going to come, whoa, I know it all. It's not just going to happen like that. It's not instant cookies. It's not particularly easy. And what makes it even harder is that I put people to sleep, holographic breathing puts people to sleep, the channels put people to sleep. So people can't even stay awake to learn it. So it's not always as easy as it seems. But there is a depth here. You can apply yourself to this and you can learn something meaningful that will change your life, for sure. Changed my life. I was normal once. Actually, that's a lie. I've never been normal. So anyway, so I've taken the top sides off the skull, and now we've just got the fire phoenix there, the deep earth energies, which are the back of the balance bone, temporal bones at the side, and you've got the sideways breathing motion of the cranium from the sides of the cervical vertebrae. These are pulling up from the sides of the ribs, are pulling through the sides of the neck, shortening the neck, pulling down on the cranium. The cranium is pulling down on the spine. Everything leads to this shortening on the in-breath, lengthening on the out-breath, tightening on the in-breath, relaxing on the out-breath. So I've renamed this bone the balance bone in the anatomy books. I know they say it's joined. It's that this is two different bones. It isn't two different bones. This is one whole bone, and I've called it the balance bone, and half of it is the fire energies, half of it is the deep earth energies, and this little bit at the top there is the higher energies. And then as this is all pulling down at the front, this rolls the fire phoenix down this way, rolls the base of the balance bone. So it's balancing, because it's balancing on the spine, and you get an equal and opposite pull on each side on the in-breath. So get my face somewhere where you can see it. Breathing in, shortens, see it pulling down here, shortens, but it also bends this bone. Breathing in, there's a flexion in that bone. Breathing out, it comes back. Breathing in, that bone flexes, it bends. There's a torsion through the bone. It bends that bone, breathing out. That is the center of the cranial rhythm that opens up in a multifaceted way through the face, through the cranium, through the whole skull. But there's a force there. You've got the force of all of the muscles of the body. In holographic breathing, it's a whole breath. All of the muscles of the body interfacing, breathing in, breathing out to the side, breathing in, breathing out through the face, through the hyoid bone here, the esophagus comes up, the trachea comes up, the diaphragm drops, this drops. Holographic breathing opens on the in-breath, closes on the out-breath. So the whole face rolling this forward. But it's through a torsion. Even though we don't feel it, the muscles are torsioning to create this torsion, bending through the bones that massages. This all happens outside of our consciousness. Unless you actually put your fingers on your scalene muscles, you won't feel, oh, my scalene muscles are getting tense, now they're relaxing. It will just feel relaxed. It's outside of our consciousness. In the holographic breathing, we bring what is outside of our consciousness to consciousness. Sorry, there's a fly. With people wondering why I'm blowing, I was blowing at a fly that was flying around me. Right. So for the new people, see, we've got to do a lot. I was going to do something really simple, and all of this stuff happens, and then I've got to teach something really complicated. And we're not going to go into that in great depth, but we do in the advanced webinars. Another punt for the, whatever you call it, for the advanced webinars. Come to the advanced webinars. They're not expensive, powerful. They are powerful. They're powerful, transformative things, but we get more time to properly, in depth, work with these different energies, understand these different dynamics. Everybody already knows holographic breathing, so I don't have to teach that. They're longer, so we can just spend more time with the different dynamics. We spend more time anyway, like we're going to spend a whole 2-hour webinar with each organ, and then another webinar with all 4 in the next upcoming deep earth energies. So whatever, another advert or wherever it's called for the advanced webinars, that we will go into this in more depth in those. What also, I don't know if everybody's done it, I'm relying on a bit people having done the previous webinars. So I'm going to teach holographic breathing. Then to bring it in holographic breathing, there's a gentle motion of the jaw that spreads through the whole face, through the cranium, through the body, and down. And then we also do the movement from the hands and legs. Breathing in or the hands and feet. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. And I'll start off breathing in, breathing out, but the foot isn't flexing there, it's just flapping. Breathing in, breathing out, and then I'll encourage people to connect to the back of the foot, the heel, as well as the front, and then what happens is the whole foot stays flat but flexes. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. We're going to connect the deep earth energies from the heel all the way up through the back of the neck to the back of the balance bone. The fire circuit here underneath the leg and the hip joints, we're going to connect that up through the legs, in the hands, from here and the wrists, through the whole body, through those organs, to these points and these muscles here, and then into the fire sphinx. It's also, I can't teach all of the points in this, it's also the nasal passageways, the front of the chin, but we will connect the fire circuit, which is coming into the fire sphinx, the deep earth circuit coming into the back of the head, from the feet, right up through the body, right into the cranial base. And then, if we got time, I may need to leave it to another webinar, we will just start working with this concertinaing of the spine on the in-breath, this lengthening of the spine on the out-breath, and this altered reality and carbon dioxide reality that we move into when we're doing that. And you can think of that in two ways. Say my arms and hands are the muscles coming up from the ribs to the spine. You can think of these muscles shortening, lifting up the ribs. Breathing in, breathing out. As the muscles shorten, you can think of the spine staying still and the ribs lifting. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. But also, as they're shortening, they are pulling the spine down. So as well as thinking this, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, you can think of it the other way around, like the diaphragm does. It's the same movement, but with the spine shortening. Breathing in, spine shortens on the in-breath. It's the same movement, except the hands are coming down rather than the elbows lifting. Breathing out. Notice how that makes you feel different. If you imagine my hands are the spine and my elbows are connecting to the ribs, notice how that is feels like our normal breath. Breathing in, that's consciously how we feel it. Breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. If you watch it the other way around, for me, it brings in a different mode. If you think of the spine in the middle, breathing in. Notice there's a different feel to that. Breathing out, and the whole mode of your breathing changes. It gets much slower. And then you slow it down more, and you get used to having no oxygen. If you die, it's not my fault. It's nothing to do with me, it's your own responsibility. But for those that are willing to go through that death experience, that you don't need air, there's something on the other side. And Easter is a good day to go to the other side. I think it was, didn't Jesus go to the other side on Easter Sunday, something like that. So a couple of you may go to the other side, but it's all right, there's God there and stuff. So breathing in. But it is your own responsibility. Breathing out, we're going to do spine shortening on the in-breath, lengthening on the out-breath. So from having nothing to teach or very little, just a shed load of stuff. The new people, if you only do holographic breathing, that's enough. You can watch the video and go into it in more depth. Now I'm going to demonstrate holographic breathing, and then we're going to have a short 5-minute talk, because I've talked, a 5-minute break so people can pee. The webinar's going to go on longer than I thought because there were just more to describe. We'll have fairly long meditation just to get that whole experience. It's a Bonanza Easter Sunday special free webinar where you can just learn a shed load of stuff. So the breathing in holographic breathing, the lips are relaxed and closed, the tongue is relaxed and on the roof of the mouth, the tip of the tongue is close to or touching the front teeth. So the new people, let your tongue come up onto the roof of the mouth, the flat of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, let the tip of the tongue come close to or touching the front teeth. The lips are closed. The breath is through the nose. Now this movement, probably not good to do it just yet, but get used to the upper surface of the tongue being on the roof of the mouth. As much as feels comfortable, maybe ½ an inch, a whole inch, maybe the whole tongue, whatever feels comfortable. Now with that all staying in place and the lips staying closed, in holographic breathing on the in-breath, the jaw gently opens, and on the out-breath, the jaw gently closes. And this synchronizes with the muscles of the breath and just becomes natural. It just is, we're taking a block away. That is what it would do if that block wasn't there. It just moves into a whole new breath, a whole new experience. These energies open up, the Kundalini opens up, this movement of the spine becomes more pronounced. You start being able to feel the musculature of the breath, connects to the higher self, connects to the earth. I'm going to demonstrate it just for a few breaths so you can see, one, that the lips aren't opening and closing. Two, it's a very subtle breath. As soon as I drop into it, I just move into an altered state. I become very relaxed. It's a profoundly relaxed type of breathing. And it's just my normal breath. While I'm not speaking or not eating, that is my normal breath. So I just do holographic breathing all of the time. It's not a longer breath, it's not a shorter breath, it's not a connective breath. You leave the spaces between the breath. Unless we actually go out to not have them, there's spaces between the breaths, just a relaxed breath. If you are new, it's best to learn this first part sitting up so you don't fall asleep because it's very relaxing. When we come to doing the hands and feet, it's probably best, I'll mention when we come to doing that, it's okay to lie down now because you need the arms out and the legs out to properly get that motion. However much you experience in this, you may not experience all the different things that I have said, but whatever you experience is correct for you. Each time you play the recording of this, it will open new dynamics, new ways of doing it, because it's a principle. I'm not teaching a thing, I'm teaching a principle, and principles keep unfolding forever. You just keep unfolding them. So every time you watch the video and go over the meditation, it will open up new goodies. All right. Closing your eyes. And if you know holographic breathing, dropping into the holographic breathing. If you don't know holographic breathing, just breathing normally and relaxed. And send a smile to the earth. Send some energy to the earth and allow the earth to say hello back. Allowing yourself to receive from the earth. And notice what that feels like through your body and through your energies. And sending a smile, sending some energy to the higher self and the beneficial energies or the divine energies. The beneficial energies, any divine channels, divine teachers that you wish to work with, as long as it's beneficial, just a higher self and beneficial energies. And allow the higher self and the beneficial energies to say hello back, allowing yourself to receive from the higher self and the beneficial energies. And notice what that feels like through your body and through your energies. And asking the earth, the higher self, and the beneficial energies to be with you through the whole webinar as your guide and your support. The lips are closed and relaxed. The tongue is relaxed and on the roof of the mouth, tip of the tongue close to or touching the front teeth. And as much as feels comfortable on the roof of the mouth, it may be half an inch, maybe a whole inch, maybe the whole tongue, whatever feels comfortable of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. And then just start opening and closing the jaw, a bit like chewing, not doing it in line with the breath at the moment, just gently moving the jaw up and down so you can feel that you can move the jaw and the lips can stay closed. So chewing motion with the jaw just to get the experience that you can move the jaw and the lips can stay closed. And now letting that slow down. And when you feel ready, as the jaw is relaxing open, letting the breath come in through the nose. And as the jaw is closing, letting the breath leave through the nose. Notice it starts to feel like a little pump. As the jaw is opening, the breath will come in through your nose. As the jaw is closing, the breath will leave through your nose. Just get used to that quite physical motion. Jaw relaxing open, the breath comes in. The jaw relaxes closed, the breath comes out through the nose. And it's a small motion of the jaw, maybe half a finger width, 3 or 4 millimeters, 1/4 of an inch. It's not a big motion. The lips stay closed all of the time. The tongue stays on the roof of the mouth. As the jaw relaxes open, the breath comes in through the nose. As the jaw relaxes closed, the breath comes out through the nose, relaxing the back of the neck, relaxing the back of the head, relaxing the whole body. And we're going to change the gestalt, we're going to change the awareness and becoming aware of the breath coming in through the nose first. And as the breath is coming in through the nose, the jaw relaxes open. As the breath comes out through the nose, the jaw relaxes closed. Notice how everything changes, becomes much softer, becomes much more meditative. As you breathe in, jaw relaxes open. As you breathe out, the jaw relaxes closed. Becoming aware of the chest. As you breathe in, the chest is opening, the jaw follows. As you breathe out, the chest is closing, the jaw follows, the jaw closes. You breathe in, the abdomen is opening, the jaw gently opens. As you breathe out, the abdomen is closing, the jaw follows. The movement of the jaw just becomes part of the breath. The muscles of the breath are moving the jaw. The lips stay closed all of the time, and the tongue stays on the roof of the mouth. And notice this subtle motion moves through the whole face, through the cranium, through the neck, through the whole torso, through the arms and legs. In a very subtle way, your face, your cranium, your brain, your neck start to breathe in a way they weren't before. Somehow, this dynamic in the mouth opens the breathing motion through your skull and neck and whole body. A bit like you can feel every cell opening on the in-breath, every cell closing on the out-breath. And now we're going to bring in the movement of the hands and feet. Well, we'll do the feet. So it's quite good to be lying down, or at least to have your legs extended to be able to do this bit well. So start off with breathing in. Just carry on doing the holographic breathing. The feet flap up on the in-breath. Breathing out, the feet flap down. Breathing in, the feet are flapping up. Breathing out, the feet are flapping down. Notice there's a connection through the whole front of the body, this movement of the mouth, movement of the whole cranium. It's connecting to the feet. As you breathe in, front of the foot is being pulled up. Breathing out, the front of the foot is relaxing down. And once you can feel that, the front of the legs are tensing to pull the front of the foot up, the front of the legs are relaxing to let the foot drop down. Now also become aware of the heel. So the calf muscles and the back of the legs are tensing to pull the heel up. The front of the legs are tensing to bring the front of the foot up, and the foot stays level, just flattens on the in-breath. Breathing out, just gently relaxes and goes into its natural cup in the out-breath. It's like a diaphragm, flattening on the in-breath, doming on the out-breath. Notice you start getting a deeper, slower breath. This movement of the feet and legs connects into your whole body and into the diaphragm. If you're a long, slow opening of the diaphragm on the in-breath, it's a bit like you feel the feet pulling the diaphragm down as you breathe in. Then as the feet relax, the diaphragm is allowed to rise up on the out-breath. It gives you this deeper, slower breath, and that works up through your whole body, through the back of your pelvis, your whole back, your spine, the back of the neck, to the back of the head from the heels. Notice how there's this tension through the whole back of your body, pulling between the heels and the back of your head on the in-breath. And then a lengthening and relaxing through the whole back of your body on the out-breath. And same with the front of the body, as the feet are pulling up at the front, there's this tension through the front of the legs, through the whole front of the body, right up into the jaw, up through the whole face, and into the phi-sphenix bone of the cranium. Breathing out, relaxing. From the sides, it's coming up the whole sides of the body to the sides of the cranium. Breathing in, there's this tension and opening. Breathing out, there's this relaxing and closing. And I want you to, as we did before, bringing the hand to your throat, and you need the thumb and first finger going back far enough so that you can connect to these quite tense muscles, the scalene muscles. You can feel as the feet pull up, the scalene muscles are tightening, pulling the ribs up. As the feet relax down, the scalene muscles are more relaxing, and the feet are dropping. It's like there's a pull from the scalene muscles right down to your feet. If you feel your heel, it comes to the posterior scalene muscles, which will be a bit further back than your fingers and thumbs, and pull more into the back of the neck. If you come a bit further forwards in the foot, under the ankles, become aware of a bit further forwards in the foot and the ankles. Notice it gets warmer. This relates into the more forward scalene muscles and the front side of the spine. Notice this is all warm, the anterior side of the spine where it's joining to the throat. Got this warm red energy going up the inside of the spine, right up to the fire phoenix, is the fire circuit in the front of the spine there, and the anterior scalene muscles. These are tightening and opening the fire circuit, relaxing the fire circuit. Notice these front ones right down to the ankles light up the fire circuit, your heart, your ovaries, your testes, your uterus and prostate, and the front of the spine coming up to the fire phoenix in the cranium. You can feel those muscles tightening on the in-breath, scalene muscles tightening as you breathe in, scalene muscles relaxing to a certain extent on the out-breath. They're still holding, but they're not tense like they were before. Breathing in, they're opening, pulling the ribs up. Breathing out, they're relaxing, the ribs are dropping down. You may feel the muscles rising and falling with the breath. So you can move your hand away if you want to, feeling the heel, this darker energy, the back of your body, heels connecting to the sit bones, to the lower shoulder blades. The lower shoulder blades are connecting to the spine in the lower neck. In the lower back of the balance bone. The deep earth energies, you feel this much deeper, cooler, darker energy at the back of your body, from the back of the balance bone to the back of the heels. This relates to the liver and pancreas. Deep earth connection, very strong organs, the liver and pancreas. And as you feel the liver and pancreas, it will open up through the brain. And these connect a lot to the lower neck area. A different feel when you connect to the organs. You've got this much deeper, richer energy from the heels right up through the back of the neck there, especially the lower neck. It's connecting to the lower shoulder blades and the posterior scalene muscles. Move to the sides of the neck and the middle scalene muscles. These will relate to the sides of the ribs and the lungs. Notice how you come to the sides of the neck and the middle scalene muscles. This will relate to the temporal bones in the cranium. It will open the lungs, and it will open the sides of the legs and the sides of the feet. Notice a very different energy in the sides of the neck, the sides of the cranium, the sides of the legs, the sides of the feet. And you come slightly forwards in the foot, so it's directly under the ankles. Become aware of the ankles, the pubic bone. This is the ovaries, testes, uterus, prostate. It'll also open through the heart and hara. And it's the scalene bones running, scalene muscles running into the front side of the spine, behind the throat, the front scalene muscles, right up to the sphinx in the cranium. Notice the different quality. It'd be a fiery red quality. Your heart, you may feel your heart pumping, becoming hotter. And then dropping back from these fire energies into the heels again, and this dark, rich energy running up the back of your body, the back of your neck, back of your head. Now all the way through the thoracic vertebrae are where the ribs are, all the way up through the cervical vertebrae, the vertebrae in the neck. All of these muscles are dropping from the vertebrae to the ribs, through the whole, where the ribs are, through the whole thoracic and through the whole thing. And on the in-breath, even though they're right at the back of the ribs and they're pulling the ribs up from the back, breathing in, they're shortening. Breathing out, they're lengthening. So it's this feeling of the ribs lifting, all the muscles connecting into the spine, all the way up there as they tighten. The back of the ribs are opening and lifting. As you breathe out, the back of the ribs are dropping. So it's like a Christmas tree. It's opening on the in-breath. All of these muscles connecting to all of the vertebrae. Breathing out, it's like all the branches on the Christmas tree are dropping as the ribs relax down. So it's right through the back, right up through the neck. Breathing in, those muscles are shortening and opening all the ribs at the back, right, not just the sides of the ribs, right into the back of your ribs, opening out like a Christmas tree. Breathing out, dropping down like the branches of the Christmas tree, all coming inwardly. Breathing in, they're opening. Breathing out, they're closing. Now we're going to try changing the gestalt on that. So not only are the ribs opening as you breathe in, and then relaxing back down as you breathe out through the back of your body, through the deep earth energies at the back of your body and these bones. Breathing in, the ribs are lifting. Breathing out, they're dropping down. Also along with that, now as the ribs lift, the spine drops down slightly. Notice you have to go into a different mode. Breathing out as the ribs dropping down, the spine, the muscles are relaxing, the spine is lengthening. So you have to go into a different mode. It's much slower, and you have to let go of something. There's a fear of death there. There's a fear of allowing your spine to shorten. Breathing in. Notice if you can let go, letting your spine shorten as the ribs lift. Breathing out, letting your spine lengthen as the ribs drop back down. Notice you have to go into a different mode. You have to breathe much more slowly. If you can't feel it, that is fine. You just breathe whatever feels comfortable. Breathing in, the back of the ribs are lifting, the spine shortening. Breathing out, the back of the ribs dropping down, the spine lengthening. And you can feel it pulling from the feet, from the heels. It's like the feet are pulling the vertebrae down on the in-breath, and the ribs are opening. Breathing out as the feet relaxes through all of those muscles and the vertebrae can rise. So there's this pull from the feet on the spine and the ribs open. Breathing out, there's a relaxation from the feet, the spine relaxes back up, the ribs close. This is right up through the neck, right up into the brain. Or you can imagine it like a diaphragm. The dome of the diaphragm is connecting to the vertebrae. The dome is dropping down and opening on the in-breath. The vertebrae are dropping down and the ribs are opening. As the dome of the diaphragm is rising, the vertebrae are rising and the ribs are dropping back in. Let your breath slow down. The more you let your breath slow down, you'll be able to accommodate this more. And let yourself start building carbon dioxide. Feel it through your brain, through your body as you breathe slower and slower, letting the carbon dioxide breathe. And as you go slower, it just, the movement of the spine just becomes a feeling. It connects to the whole breath. As the spine is shortening at the back, it's all opening at the front. As the spine is lengthening at the back, it's all closing at the front. There's a lot to take into account here, but as you slow the breath down, it just becomes more natural. This concertinaing on the body, just slowly, bit by bit, as you breathe in. It has to be a long, slow, extended breath to allow it. Breathing out a long, slow, extended breath to let the body lengthen. So this concertinaing is a much slower breath, and you'll have less oxygen and more carbon dioxide, but you move into a carbon dioxide reality. And it's like being in the womb. It comes a stage where you feel you can go without the breath forever. It may spread through the whole body as a general breath, different mode of breathing. However you're experiencing this is fine. There's a pulling and concertinaing on the in-breath. There's a relaxing and lengthening on the out-breath. This will massage every vertebrae. And as this concertinaing happens, the whole body opens, the ribs open, the abdomen opens. And then as the concertinaing relaxes and lengthens, the ribs and abdomen relax back in. You can also do the movement from the hands, both the hands and feet opening on the in-breath. Hands and feet cupping on the out-breath, just becoming used to this much slower, different reality. Different mode of breathing, different mode of being. That you don't need the oxygen. You live without the oxygen. You feel these waves of energy going through the body as you get used to living on carbon dioxide. You start feeling waves of energy going through your brain as the carbon dioxide clears all of the infections, clears all of the inflammation, as your addiction to breathing goes, and you move into a carbon dioxide-based reality. It starts healing all of the ailments, starts killing all of the bugs. They can't live in that environment. And it brings a new, much slower mode of breathing. You may feel a pulsing through your brain as the energies move through your brain. This slow concertinaing on the in-breath. This slow relaxing and lengthening on the out-breath. Becomes a whole slow body breath, kind of doing itself, rather than addicted to keep getting more and more in-breath. You lose your addiction to breathing. The same way as in fasting, you lose your addiction to food and water. With this much slower mode of breathing, you lose your addiction to continually trying to get oxygen. To whatever level you're feeling that is fine. Whatever you're experiencing is fine. You may feel it through your spine, you may feel it through your whole body, you may feel it through your neck, you may feel it through your head and face. Movement of the hands and feet may stop, may get more soft. Whatever is happening is fine. Notice this up-down motion works through the brain. It pulls down in the middle of the brain on the in-breath. Relaxes back up on the out-breath through the brain. Long, slow breaths. Outside of your normal capacity to breathe. A new way of breathing, a new mode of breathing, a new reality. Carbon dioxide based reality. Okay, we're going to come back in about a minute. Just letting that become more gentle. And sending a thank you to the earth. and sending a thank you to the higher self and beneficial energies. And thanking yourself. And allowing the energies to go off for love and healing to the earth, for love and healing to the higher self and to the beneficial energies. And allowing yourself to be loved and healed. And letting the energies go out to all sentient beings for love and healing. And you are a sentient being, allowing yourself to be loved and healed. So many people would have experienced that in different ways, and I'm sure it would have been really quite difficult for many people. It's definitely not what I would have chosen to be teaching in a free webinar, but that was just what was coming through to teach today. And I know people have a lot of problems learning that and just think that I've somehow got it wrong. And I may have done. I may have just got it wrong. But there is definitely an experience to be had there. If you can take that on board, there's definitely an experience to be had and a different state of being to be had. Wave your hand if you felt anything similar to what I was describing. Okay, quite a few people. Yeah, quite a few. Well, that's not bad. I was expecting everybody to be telling me it was no good. Wave your hands if you enjoyed it. It's quite a hard thing. It is quite a hard thing. It's something that I practiced a lot from the beginning, and I thought people would really enjoy it and like it, but it's always been very hard to teach that. But I think it is important to start taking that on board for these next webinars, which are really very potent in the advanced webinars, where we are working with the organs, and the different organs relate to different vertebrae in the spine and different energies in the spine. And it's not the same as where the nerves are coming out to those organs. There's an energetic system of the organs connecting to the spine. And I'm systematically going to go through all of the organs, join them up to all of the vertebrae, and this will ignite the Kundalini in a whole new way. So there's going to be a deep and profound work over this year. So even if it is difficult to start comprehending that movement of the spine to one level or another, it's good to engage in it just to see that you can start having that experience, and then it makes it easier to get this more universal Kundalini, complete change of reality when we start assimilating the energies of the organ, the energies of the spine and brain, and their connection to the divine energies. So that is what we're going to be doing over the coming year. I've started 6 webinar series where we're working with each one is a different. We've done the fire, we've done the earth, we're moving into the yellow energies in the next one. The first 2 webinars in that were the most powerful webinars we've ever done. You can still join that webinar series. About half the people don't come, they just listen to the recordings. Some people like the recordings more than the webinar. So you can join that and you can get the recordings of those 2 webinars we've done, and then the links to the other webinars as we do them. They're once a month. And then tomorrow or the day after, I'll put all the dates for this next series of 5 where we're working. You know, it will include other energies, but to the main part, we will be working with the organs. It's a fundamental, deep connection to Mother Earth and healing of Mother Earth and our roots. Again, at least for me, these are profound webinars that, and I don't see this, it's very similar to what my healing teacher taught, called Tibetan Pulsing. It's very similar, but as it transpires, I'm finding lots more points for the different circuits, different ways of working with it. It's kind of evolving as we go, and there may be the connections to Diraj, I guess there are, but it's to his whole house, because while he was teaching it, he was channeling it from the divine energies. And after he died, not too long after, the holographic breathing came through, which helped open that system. But it seems like I've connected also to what he was connected to, or it seems to have done, in these different organs. And all I can say is there is a powerful, deep, ongoing healing that I just carry on doing it, because I just carry on transforming. You know, I want to live as long as possible, because I can see that work goes on forever. You know, it's not just bits and pieces. You know, you transcend with that work, and I guess work from the other side, or come back and work with it more next time, whatever goes on. You know, I mean, it's the time of year to speak about that, I guess, because I think that's what Jesus did today. He went up to heaven, or whatever Jesus did. And everyone seems to be here. No one died by breathing too slowly, which is a big relief. Who felt a different state of consciousness when they let their breathing really slow down? Put your hand up if you felt kind of... Okay, now we're talking. Now we're talking. If you can embody that state of consciousness, then you can do this movement of the spine, because this movement of the spine is what lives in that state of consciousness. And if you can breathe with the spine consciously in that way, think what that does for your health, longevity, and transcendental states. Because continually the vertebrae are moving, continually the discs between the vertebrae are being exercised, continually the nerves coming out of the central nervous system are being released. It is the center of your body and being, and the spine houses the bardo, what we go through after we die, and the transcendental clearing of holographic breathing as we systematically clear the energies of the spine and the organs. So I'm really pleased that somehow that came across. This is the first time I've managed to get that across. I am really, really pleased that people felt that different quality. That is so good. Really good. A lot of information in this webinar. The recordings will come out in a couple of days. Really good to go over the recordings. Listen again. Each time you listen to these, it unfolds at a deeper level. I mean, I am teaching it, but I am being guided and taught. The reason these webinars work is because I somehow have privy to these just wonderful teachers and energies that come in and work while I'm teaching. Admittedly, they put everyone to sleep, but you know, I wouldn't be able to do it without them. But now that has blown me away, that people could feel that change of consciousness. If you work with that, you can become used to that place. I think it makes a huge difference to everything, your health and everything. If you can drop into that carbon dioxide based reality, I just think that clears all sorts of disease on all levels. So brilliant, 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 brilliant. As ever, thank you everybody. As ever, it's been a total honor and privilege to be able to pass this work on, that you come along and that the guides come along. Just an absolute privilege. Thank you so much. And I'll see you next time. Thank you. Namaste. Bye.